Mr. President.
Senator from Oklahoma.
Mr. President, this week, the Democrats are forcing yet another show vote on the so-called voting rights legislation. They claim the right to vote is under attack by the states, and there's nothing that could be further from the truth. Ahead of the 2020 elections, everyone from Vice President Kamala Harris to Eric Holder to Stacey Abrams claimed that they were experiencing a wave of voter suppression. Now, that's very significant. It's a wave of voter suppression, as if they have to do something to change our system. And the facts are so clear on that. People lie around here, but the facts don't lie. The Census Bureau reported that the turnout in last year's election was 66.8%. Now, that was the highest voter turnout of the 21st century. And the turnout was higher across all demographics, as well as including minorities. And more than 90% of the Americans think it's easy to vote. More than a third of them think the rules should be more stringent than they are today. And there's a good argument for that. But that argument is prevailing right now. And so once you see that the Democrats' big lie of rampant voter suppression is clearly false, why are they pushing this election takeover bill? They want to nationalize elections, putting the federal government in charge of something that the Constitution clearly says belongs to the state. And just as a few examples of what the bill would do, it would line the pockets of candidates with taxpayer dollars in order to run for office. It would restrict common sense voter ID supported by over 75% of the Americans. It would mandate mail-in ballots, allow ballot trafficking. That's when the unsupervised political operatives collect and submit absentee ballots, and would make Election Day a federal holiday, costing somewhere about close to $1 billion each time that it would be used. Now, you don't have to take my word for it and how radical this is. Oklahoma's election board secretary, now keep in mind, this, as in most states, it's non-political, non-partisan in any way, and the guy's name is Paul Zierick. He has called the Schumer's legislation a, quote, recipe for chaos. Democrats can feel the American people turning against their agenda, and so they're desperate to rig elections in their favor, and they would do whatever means necessary, even killing rules that make the Senate. This would poison bipartisan and compromise in the Senate forever. My Democrat colleagues want you to forget that they were for the filibuster before they were against it. Just 5 years ago, 33 Senate Democrats, including then Senator Harris, penned a letter demanding that we defund or that we defend and retain it forever. So they were demanding that we retain the filibuster. But now they've changed their mind, which means they either have amnesia or that they see an opportunity to force their radical agenda on American families. If Democrats get their way on the filibuster, it won't stop taking over our elections. They will also pass their Green New Deal, their abortion on demand, amnesty, they pack the Supreme Court with activists to uphold their unconstitutional agenda. And I want to close by sharing a comment on the filibuster. The quote is, quote, getting rid of the filibuster has long-term consequences. If there's one thing that I've learned in my years here, once you change the rules and surrender the Senate's institutional power, you never get it back. Now, I didn't say that. That was said by President Joe Biden. He said it just in those words, and that it might be the first time that we agree on something. Likewise, Senator Schumer also said that getting rid of the legislative filibuster would be doomsday for democracy. And I happen to agree with him on that, too. So I've served the people of Oklahoma in the Senate longer than anyone in history, and I feel strongly that the one thing that has protected our democratic republic and ensured bipartisanship more than any other single thing is the Senate's protection of the voice of the minority. That's what we're famous for. There's no one else around that has that as a function to do. And yet I'm seeing some of the things that are going on right now. President Biden, now he said, you keep this in mind, back in 2005, we got to keep the filibuster. And then in 2021, just the other day, he says, we got to kill the filibuster. He said that yesterday. Senator Schumer, back in 2005, said killing the filibuster will be doomsday for democracy. And now Schumer wants to kill the filibuster. Senator Coons said back in 2018, I am committed to never voting to change the legislative filibuster. And now he's supporting killing the filibuster. Senator Klobuchar, back in 2017, said, let's keep that 60-vote threshold in place, which is the filibuster. And now she said, this was just a few days ago, quote, I would personally get rid of the filibuster. So here's what we're faced with. We know what's right, and we know what's wrong. It's very clear, and yet they are desperately trying to take a position that they've had for a long period of time. So we'll continue to protect it. Both the president and Senator Schumer are trying to kill the filibuster, and we're not going to let that happen. I suggest the absence of a quorum.
Will the senator withhold his request?
Yes.
Thank you.